One major factor when picking a new console has always been the controller. It's what you're gonna use to interact with your new $500 toy. It's what connects you to the experience. It's an important thing to consider. Both Xbox and Sony have pretty much nailed their controller designs throughout the years, but this time around, there were some interesting choices made. The DualSense has a lot of cool new features packed in, but it looks like a concept. The Xbox controller looks pretty much the same, but there are some minor differences. So, if the input device is going to be what pushes you towards one console or the other, which one is going to be your go-to? This video is sponsored by pills that do a little something. Maybe you feel like you're not knocking it out of the park. Maybe you need a little bit of help sinking those shots. Well, Roman makes it easy to discuss and treat ED. Who's having a hard time talking about it? We're out here, we're doing this. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, so you don't have to go anywhere or see anybody and talk about your penis. They will find the best treatment plan for you, and if medication is what you need, they will ship it right to your door with free 2-day shipping, so you can just get right to it. It's simple, straightforward, and discreet, so nobody even needs to know what you're doing. So go to getroman.com/wolfden. Yes, we have a vanity URL. To get $15 off your first order, a free online evaluation, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/WULFFDEN. So go on over there and book an online evaluation today so you can get back to slamming those birdies. Turn that putter into a 5-iron. Go from the rough into a sand trap. Anyway, features. Historically, Sony has always called their controllers the DualShock. They had 1 through 4 corresponding with each console generation that they've had. But now, this controller is so different, they decided to go with a whole new name. The DualSense has more features packed into it than all their previous controllers, and the Series X controller. It has haptic feedback, which is just a more advanced rumble. Adaptive triggers, which provides force feedback on the triggers that correspond to what's happening in the game. A built-in microphone and a mute button, which is important. A speaker, which is sometimes cool and sometimes annoying. It has the same sort of touch bar that the PS4 controller had, which its usefulness is up for debate. And it has a built-in accelerometer and gyroscope for motion sensing. This controller is very advanced with a lot of technology packed into it. And that's probably why this time around it's $70. Within the last few console generations, controllers have been pretty much the same price as a full-priced brand new game. And in this console generation, games are going to be $70. So that price point kind of makes sense. The Xbox Series X controller is pretty much the same as it was in the previous generation. This time around, though, it's ever so slightly smaller than it was on the Xbox One, but that's something that you will barely notice. The D-pad is probably the most glaring difference with its new hybrid style. I was actually expecting to hate this, but it feels really good. I won't be making this my go-to controller for 2D games anytime soon, but the more I use it, I actually think I prefer this over the older design. The way it swoops up is comfortable and the clickiness is satisfying. There's also a dedicated share button, which I keep accidentally pressing, but in today's age of social media, it is a necessary inclusion. The way it integrates with the Xbox app is also really cool. It makes it super easy to share photos and videos immediately after capturing them. The Xbox controller also has rumble built into the triggers. It's not the same as the adaptive triggers that DualSense controllers have, and it's not an improvement over the Xbox One, which had the same sort of rumble. The only other thing that's different about this controller is the way it connects to the console. Microsoft made a big stink about their dynamic latency input. It's a new system that Microsoft developed just for reducing the latency of its controller inputs. All of that, coupled with HDMI 2.1, 120Hz gameplay, or auto low latency mode, will reduce controller input latency by half. I don't have any of that, so all my tests are going to be on a 60 hertz monitor. So I did all these tests after I filmed everything, and I found some interesting things. When I do these tests, I shoot it at 120 frames per second. I put it in a 24 frame per second timeline, and I count the amount of frames. It's not the most scientific way to gauge latency, but I work with what I have. I found that the Xbox controller is faster when you just hardwire it in, which is supposed to be the case. However, despite all of the cool sounding technical stuff that Xbox was touting, it turns out that the DualSense controller is actually way faster. And it's even faster when it's hardwired. It's mind-blowing. I'll note that gauging when the trigger was fully pressed down during these frames was pretty hard, but the DualSense controller's triggers have a longer travel. So if anything, that would have skewed the results in favor of Xbox, but it didn't. I'd like to see somebody do a more scientific test than this, but if latency's a big factor for you, maybe don't buy into Xbox's marketing, or do more research. The Xbox controller is supposed to have significantly lower latency when plugged directly into the console, and I play right next to my console. It's actually right here. So going forward, I'll have to consider just leaving it plugged in all of the time. Anyway, both of these controllers share a lot of the same features. They're more alike than they are different. For one, they all have pretty much the exact same amount of buttons. They both have a built-in 3-ring headphone jack, which is incredibly useful for games that require communication. Nintendo should take note here. They both have cool new textured backsides that provides no tactical advantage whatsoever, but it does feel really nice and premium on both. They both now use USB-C to connect and charge. The DualSense has a built-in battery, which is something I'm not too happy about because once that battery deteriorates, you kind of just have to throw the whole controller out. The Xbox controller is only $60, so $10 cheaper than the DualSense, but it takes AA's, or you have to buy a play and charge kit, which is also a decision I'm not too happy about. The controller should come with the rechargeable battery inside already and give you the option to remove it and use AA's if you want. It shouldn't be an additional purchase, is all I'm saying. Another side note that seems relevant here is that Microsoft made a big stink that their controllers will work across their family of consoles. So Xbox One controllers will work on the Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series X controllers will work on the Xbox One. So since these controllers are basically the same, I purchased one of these cool little docking stations. These are sold by Microsoft in their store, and you can get them in all sorts of colors and designs that match Xbox One controllers perfectly. However, for whatever reason, the stupid battery cover that it comes with doesn't fit the Xbox Series X controller for some reason. The holes it needs to slot into are like misaligned by like a millimeter. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So if you plan on using a charge stand that you might have already, you're going to have to purchase an additional backplate that comes in a pack with another rechargeable battery. So how do these controllers feel? I talked a decent amount about the DualSense controller in a previous video, but that was before the PlayStation 5 even came out, so I didn't get to check out all of the cool new hyped up features. The DualSense actually feels massive compared to the Xbox controller, which is weird because the DualShock 4 always felt small to me, and Xbox is known for having the big boys. I've always liked the Xbox controller's design better. I like the canted thumbsticks, and I'm not completely sold on the split D-pad that the PlayStation controllers have, but this split D-pad feels really nice. It's not rubbery like it was in the past. I have to say, the DualSense is incredibly comfortable, way more comfortable than I was expecting. I've spent a lot more time this year on the Xbox One controller than I have on the PlayStation 4 controller. So I was expecting to have a hard time adapting to this DualSense, but honestly, it feels great. After playing some Call of Duty on the DualSense, it actually took me a second to readjust to the shorter Xbox triggers. All of the features of the DualSense controller make it a better controller overall on paper. I've talked about my experience with Astro's Playroom before, which is an amazing game that is used as a glorified tech demo for the features of the DualSense controller. It will make you appreciate all of the tech that's in here. Plus, it's a free game that comes with the console. The problem is that it's not guaranteed that developers are actually going to utilize this tech in the future. The new Call of Duty has different force feedback on the triggers for all of the different weapons. I heard MKBHD talk about how in NBA 2K21, as a player gets fatigued, the triggers will start to give you some resistance, indicating how tired that player is. This is a feature that developers can have a lot of fun with. I'm just not sure if this is being used a lot now because it's new and cool, and if developers are gonna keep using it in the future. I'd be surprised if Microsoft doesn't release a mid-console iteration of their controller that has something similar to adaptive triggers, because it is a really cool feature. The microphone in the DualSense controller is a nice touch, but I'm really not a fan of how it defaults to on. The PlayStation camera mic does the same thing. I should have to opt in for that sort of thing. And the speaker is really cool during a game like Astro's Playroom, where it works in combination with the haptic feedback to immerse you in the game world with various audio cues for different surfaces and stuff. But then you have a game like Modern Warfare, where the controller speaker defaults to playing voice chat from your teammates. It's as horrible as you would expect. Hello? All right. I talked about this a little bit in my last PlayStation 5 video, but the haptic feedback isn't any better than Nintendo's own HD Rumble. And I'm not trying to make that a point just to be like, oh, look, Nintendo did it better. I'm doing that because people hyped up that haptic feedback so much. Sony did such a good job making it sound like it was this glorious new technology that they developed. And whenever I compared it to HD Rumble, I always got comments from people saying that it's not HD Rumble, it's better than HD Rumble. And now we have it in our hands, and we're playing Astro's Playroom, and it's clearly not better than HD Rumble. It's clearly, at best, the same. And if you don't think that, you haven't played 1-2 Switch. And if you haven't played 1-2 Switch, I don't blame you. I don't own that game either. I played it at a demo somewhere. The Pro Controller does not have HD Rumble, which feels like a missed opportunity there. The PS5 controller is better than normal Rumble, but it doesn't quite make it to the point where you're feeling balls rolling around the controller or feeling ice shake in a glass. I will say it gets very close though. The Rumble is very good in this controller. Speaking of Nintendo, you can actually get both of these controllers to work on your Nintendo Switch if you have one of those 8-bit do adapters. I tried this in my DualSense video a little while back, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get it to work. But then people on the internet got it to work, and I got very mad at myself. Both the DualSense and the Xbox controller will connect to your computer just fine. However, the Xbox controller will work more natively with most games and applications on the PC. So if PC integration is something that's really important to you, you might want to consider the Xbox controller. Plus, no PC developers are going to utilize all of the cool new features of the DualSense anyway. So, all things considered, even though both of these have pretty lengthy features lists, I would consider them more or less the same. They're both very comfortable. I could see myself using either for long periods of time. I lean a little bit towards Xbox just because I'm so used to it already, but I could very easily get used to the DualSense controller. It's kind of easy to go back and forth between the two. It's sometimes hard to navigate menus when you're going back and forth between Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. Where the hell is the damn X button? What the hell is even the back button? If you put the features list side by side, it almost seems like the Xbox controller has nothing in comparison to all the cool new stuff in the PlayStation controller. And that latency issue really makes things look bad for Microsoft. I was really rooting for them there. But I think if you're picking the PlayStation 5 over the Xbox just because the controller has more features, you're making a mistake. I think this generation, the controller shouldn't be making or breaking purchases for anybody, really. So what do you guys think about the Xbox Series X controller versus the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller? Does one stand out to you more than the other? Is controller something really important to you when you're choosing one of these new consoles, or does it really not matter? I'm sorry that there was no definitive winner here, but this warranted a video to me because there are trade-offs to both. One isn't better over the other, but there are different reasons to get the different ones. Also, I think the console wars are stupid. Get whatever console you want based on the games that you want to play, or whatever console all your friends are getting so you can play games with each other. Although most games are multi-platform now anyway. We live in a great time. I mean, for technology, not for anything else. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments below, add me on Twitter, and all this other social media garbage. And hey, thanks for Roman for helping sponsor this video and letting me just do whatever I wanted. We got new videos here all the time, at least once a week, and we got streams over on twitch.tv/WolffDen. Our live podcast is over there too. Also on youtube.com/WolffDen podcast if you want to stay on YouTube. Also, we have another YouTube channel, WolffDen Clips, where we post gameplay clips of some of those Twitch streams. So check all of those out. But of course, the most important thing that you can do to help support us is just subscribe. Turn those notifications on if you actually want to watch these videos every time one comes out. And share this video with a friend. A friend who is maybe deciding about which console they want. Maybe they're really interested in the conversation between the two different controllers. Or maybe they got one and they're considering the other. Thank you guys very much. Have yourself a very good week.